You also have to recognize that Tucker just went over and interviewed Vladimir Putin. And this is significant.
I literally sat there the other day with Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab. 100 years old and has no idea what's going on in the world. But he's like one of these guys who, speaking of mediocre, everyone's so afraid of Klaus Schwab. I don't think Klaus Schwab is going to be organizing anything again. He's just like a total figurehead. And he starts talking about it in his way, in his accent. He's saying, I think it's so important that we follow in an ethical way. Always in an ethical way, of course, very ethical. I'm a very ethical man.
To redefine the moral scope of the capitalistic system.
Using technology to improve the human mind and implant the chips in the brain.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains? You all will have implants. We measure your brain waves.
You have no idea what you're talking about. You're like as senile as Joe Biden. What was so striking is that no one in the room was like, wait, what? You're fucking with people's brains? Like... Like, what are you even talking about? Who do you think you are?
Yes, I believe you've seen this. Tucker Carlson met with World Economic Forum Klaus Schwab. After sitting down with Klaus, Tucker said he is a total moron. If you have realized there is something going on after Tucker interview with Putin, now going into this interview, Candace went hard with Omoge. It clearly shows you one thing. According to this tweet, Candace Owens demolished former CNN host Chris Cuomo after he got upset that she called Putin intelligent. Brutal, the audience burst out laughing when Owens said she wasn't going to let Cuomo humiliate himself and blasted him for sharing Cold War propaganda. Chris, there is no reason to do this. There is no reason to do this. You are doing so great. I'm not going to let you do this to yourself. Obviously, Putin is intelligent. It does not make you anything to acknowledge the fact.
You also have to recognize that Tucker just went over and interviewed Vladimir Putin. And this is significant because then you saw what it looks like when somebody not only has the mental faculty, I mean, irrespective of what you thought about the interview, you cannot... You are forced to acknowledge that he's an incredibly smart person. I mean, he started in the 8th century.
I think that it is not good that you're using Vladimir Putin as some type of positive attribute metaphor for a leader.
That's not
okay?
That's not what I did at all.
Well,
you're saying that
you're saying, well, he's smart.
He is smart. So why would you not acknowledge someone smart? What does that do? Does that make me a Putin supporter? Because you're clearly smart.
No,
if you can sit down and unpack Russian history from the 8th century, what do you mean? What the point?
What's
the point is
point?
to say that the entire world can now see this contrast of a man who can't remember what happened 2 hours ago, who still thinks that his son is alive, sadly, and often brings up his son as if he's still alive.
True.
What do you mean that's not? What is not true? What is not true, Chris? Actually say what is not true.
You're really going to say that Joe Biden believes that his son Beau is alive?
He has done that on camera. He has said...
He has misspoken as an old man that is talking about something that hurts him.
Yes, before we proceed, watching this video, there is something that I've realized. Since this guy left CNN, he is really open. I've seen him with a lot of consecutive on podcasts, though he's still struggling to spread the same propaganda he used to spread on CNN. The only change I'm seeing is he is now being able to sit and have a conversations like what I saw recently with Tucker Carlson. But he is not understanding something. It is difficult to defeat Candace Owens.
He has spoken as an old man that is talking about something that hurts him.
Listen to you. No, because Chris.
Listen, again.
There's no reason to do this. You're doing so great. I'm not going to let you do this to yourself. Like, what? No, seriously. There's no reason to do it. Obviously, Vladimir Putin is intelligent. There's no reason, doesn't make you anything to acknowledge the fact that any person that can for an hour straight unpack the history of their country starting from the 8th century has their mental faculties about them.
Okay.
That is the only thing that I have made, and I said that contrast is now playing out in the American people's mind of, wow, okay, I don't care what I think about Vladimir Putin or Russia, right? But the fact that they have a leader who can speak in this manner,
Okay.
right? Who is able to remember these things and to communicate in this manner makes us aware of how much we are not getting out of our own leaders. That is a very valid point.
Okay, I get it. I hear you. And I completely disagree, okay? Because again, picking a metric of what's the guy's IQ is not enough for me. First of all, he did not give you. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because it's what do you do with your intelligence? You think he gave you an accurate recitation of Russian history starting in the 8th century because Candace just said so. She's wrong and you're wrong, okay? He did not give you an accurate recitation. He gave you a KGB doctored look at why it's okay that he wants to reestablish the Soviet Union. That's what he gave.
Oh, stop it.
Listen,
Stop
I'm not here
it.
to play Russia good, Russia bad, okay?
Russia has a smaller GDP than California. He's
So
not,
what?
Just, like,
So what? They're also invading a country right now
belief
just for
that
avarice.
Americans are economically
Look,
so unintelligible that they are going to believe
what I'm
that
saying
the threat
is-
that we are facing today is Russia trying to reestablish. So this is like Cold War propaganda. We got to move on from that, okay?
But it's just as real now as it was
the
then.
1960s.
And remember, in America, these people are allowed to be here right now doing things they could never do in Russia. Never. Nobody can speak out against Putin. He is at over 75% in popularity polls because people know what happens if you answer differently.
Yes, before I forget, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please endeavor to do that. And please share the video. I don't get why people are scared to admit Putin is smart. He is very smart. Smarter than 99% of American politicians. That is someone responding to this video on Twitter. It is amazing to see how these people debate, but sometimes it's really crazy. Most people on the left aren't very hard to debate. They just regurgitate foolish talking points and call you names if you disagree with them. That has been the case that I've seen with some of these people. They don't want to see the truth. I understand how liberals look at Putin. He said some things here which I don't want to go deep into it because I know less.
I'm doing the
by the
opposite.
fact that
I'm
I
not
acknowledged
triggered. What are you,
that
19?
Putin-
We're using 19-year-old woke language now that I'm triggered?
Okay, are you
I'm
just-
not triggered. I got my
you're
legs
try-
crossed.
you're-
It means I'm comfortable.
Okay, well, you just seemed a little triggered. You like
Well, I don't like
literally
setting up Putin as a model.
triggered. I didn't. Nobody here. Everyone is listening to what I said, and I'm gonna not just double down. I'm gonna triple down, quadruple down on the fact that it's very obvious to the American people
Yes.
that our leaders are extremely lackluster, and that
Agreed.
has been made even more
Agreed. I said the
abundantly
same.
clear after having watched Tucker Carlson sit across from Vladimir Putin, which was heroic on his part, because we are tired of being propagandized. We are tired of people pretending, if you live in Russia, there's going to be so much propaganda. There's so much propaganda here.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes, Candace Wen can agree with Kumu at a certain point. What Candace Wen wants on this video is for this guy to accept that Putin is intelligent. That is all. When you look at Kumu saying, I don't always like to portray, Putin like a role model. That's where the problem is. Accept that he is smart. Then you can say whatever thing you want. That is cool.
Confused. I kind of had a feeling it was you.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything.